Well, I've just been reviewing, since I'm sitting here by the lake, and I'm officially convalescing from the world flu epidemics that seem to be going on, called COVID-19. And I was reviewing the housing that God's provided. I think I said elsewhere that as a young man, I was being loyal to Mum, and Mum was breaking up with Dad, and I knew it would cost my inheritance, and I mean, a wealthy man. I took it lightly because I thought, well, one is I thought loyalty to Mum was more important than anything else. Two, that I had enough what you might call personal capital. You know, I was going to go to university and got good A-levels and so on behind me. I was doing okay. But the decision made my accommodation situation precarious. And God came to the rescue. And He's continued to come to the rescue with the most opportune properties at the most opportune times. On more than 20 occasions since that time. In other words, over the last 55 years. Yeah, 55 years. Over 20 times. You know, not just one exceptional or two or three exceptional cases, but virtually all my needs, even from my perspective, staggeringly met. Just all of them. Over more than half a century. I was overcome for a minute because I took it as a word to me. But it was in some sense because I was not bought by Dad's wealth. You know, my earthly father's wealth. I wasn't Christian when I made that decision, of course, with Mum. And I just did what I wanted to do, loyal to Mum. Couldn't imagine doing anything else. In hindsight, I think I possibly shouldn't have done. I should have loved both parents. I didn't have to choose. I really don't think I did have to choose. But at the time, there was no question of choice. I simply did what I wanted to do, that I understood was right. Unquestionably, you see. And I feel God honoured me for it. Staggeringly. If I think further, well, I let each loving relationship go where my partner chose to want something better. Certainly so with my marriages, but also true with a couple of earlier relationships. And you might say, well, that just left you alone each time, but no, he provided someone else. And I went through the same experience again. Might have been over 18 years, might have been just over a few years, but it always came to rescue. And finally has not, I'm not sure if it's final, of course, hasn't provided me with a wife this time, a partner or a wife, which I take to be the same thing. Marriage is with God, not some court piece of paper. It's not a legality, it's a commitment. And I haven't been given that this time. But my relationship with God has come to the rescue. More wonderfully than an earthly partner. Don't get me wrong, the earthly partners were lovely, and I treasure each one. And I would not, and did not, give up any one of them. I think I could say most earnestly that God honours your earnest endeavour with far more than you would have hoped for or dreamed of. Thank you, Heavenly Father. Yes, to say then that, I mean, for instance, I don't own a house now and cannot buy one at all. And I don't have a partner. And yet, my needs are amazingly met. The accommodation that I have is really good. It's been excellent, I would say. Really? Just good, so good. And I have the best relationship in the universe, beyond it. I'm a child of God. Full on. Full on. I find that just wonderful. That God should come to the rescue, my rescue. My whole life has been rescue. Neither parent was delighted to know that I was going to be born. It would come in a most awkward situation for them, being married to someone else in each case. Fostered out to a bad fostering. Rescued by a lady, Mrs. Shaw. TB, but at a time when there was streptomycin, penicillin, antibiotic started to come into use. Every childhood illness, but it meant I had close relationship with Mum. Very poor at sport because of my leg operation from the TB and so on, which was an experimental operation apparently. parents had to sign for it, you know. But it made me an academic. In a secondary school, I got to university. One or two people in my year did a master's at university, was asked if I could lecture the economic history that I'd just finished studying at master's level. Offered research officership, lecturing, teaching locally, the drop of a hat. Many times, always in a subject area that was in demand. Combination of economics mostly, but maths as well. Lecturing at university. Emigrated to the other side of the world, New Zealand, lovely country. Provided with, well, the ability to emigrate. Nobody would have thought I could have managed to have emigrated. Passed the medical, passed the points easily, which was amazing, especially with my incredibly varied employment record. I was typically engaged most of my life in 2 jobs at once in 2 different places. All of them temporary. Can't remember a permanent post. Don't think I ever had a permanent post. Never occurred to me to seek one. What's permanent? Oh, I was offered one or two. Yes. Yes, I've been offered them. My life has been one incredible provision, staggering rescue by God. From the very beginning. Thank you, wonderful one. Thank you, Heavenly Dad. Let me speak then for the reality of, what you found to be the case in living. There's no explanation for this universe to exist from nothing, except that it does. There's no explanation for the reality of dreams, except they're so real when you've got them. And you shift from one reality, what we call this one here in the universe, uncertainty, to whatever you were dreaming, and that becomes the reality. And then you switch back again and say, oh, it's just a dream. But the fullness and reality of it. You see, your life is utterly outside of your hands. To so to speak, in the being of God. It just happens to us. And this which we see as reality, because it's lasted a few years, whatever age you're at now, will become no reality. And I'm not sure whether the memory of it's wiped, at least for the time being. And God takes you into a new experience. Whatever that is. Our being, you see, is in God. It's not in the changing, temporary, transitory universe. Our reality is wow, quite fantastic compared to the narrowness of understanding and experience and memory that we have. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Thou wilt keep him in perfect peace whose mind is stayed on thee, because he trusteth in thee. Thank you, wonderful one, Heavenly Father. Thank you, Heavenly Father.